Welcome, everyone, to the MMA Happy Hour. I am Kyle Anthony, your host, where today we are talking UFC Vegas 97. We've got Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns. We're going to be breaking down 4 plays here on the show, and we're going to talk some plus money as well. But before we get into all of that, hit the like button, comment something for the algorithm, subscribe if you have not yet done so. We have been absolutely crushing it this year. Last week and again, a bunch of plus money winners. And also for clients, or actually I shouldn't say last weekend because we were off last weekend, 2 weeks ago. And again, it was a small card, a card that a lot of people want to overlook, Apex card, all these things. We got another Apex card. And people kind of, they maybe it doesn't get the attention that it should get. And you look at it really, we picked up 7 units on that card, low level card. It does not matter. There's always opportunities to place our money in strong positions. And we really have done that throughout this year. 27 events, we've cashed 22 of those. That's around an 81% win rate per event. So we're absolutely seeing the board well here, over 80 units in profit this year. And with the ROI of 29% right now in every sport together, at Wager Talk, I am #1 on return on investment capper out of everybody. So that just is telling you we are finding value. We are really looking to put our money in strong positions and really beating the market many times on our plays for clients. So if you want to become a client, link down in the description. I've got plays up right now for this weekend, as well as UFC 306 already have plays up right now and have a big 5% play as well on that card. So, I don't know much more to tell you here because we've been absolutely dominating. Appreciate everybody that's been, liking the videos and also the DMs that I get from people and seeing their tickets and their winners. It's always it's really great just always seeing everybody really being excited every time we go out there and we cash those tickets. But we're going to try to do the same thing again this weekend at UFC Vegas 97. And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into the main event of the evening between Sean Brady and Gilbert Burns. Now, in this fight here, we've got Brady -190. On the other side here, we've got Gilbert Burns around the +165 mark. And this is an interesting fight here. Very interesting fight. Money has kind of consistently come in on Brady at this point, kind of raising it up. You're seeing, some at, -200 at certain books. But when you look at it here, you got Sean Brady, high-level grappler, does have some wrestling. On the other side, you got Gilbert Burns, who, UFC vet, does have grappling and does have some power in his hands. Now, you're looking at this fight, and I do get why the line is kind of where it's going. You got Brady, the sexy 16-1 record. People like seeing those shiny records. And, he's the 31-year-old. You've got Burns, who's going to be the 38-year-old. You got Brady, who's on a 6-1 run in the UFC. You've got Burns, who's 3-4 out of his last 7 in the UFC. So there's definitely been some concerns. And, when you're looking at the Gilbert Burns side, is he kind of ticking down now? Is this kind of, his time kind of, really at the end? At this point, at 38 years old, that's really the big question here. Now, Brady, for me, he has ability, he has that wrestling, or he has that grappling, I should say, where he's on the ground and he's really lethal. He's got good top control. He really does a lot of great things, and he's very heavy on top once he gets opponents down. Now, the issue here for me, I think, first, when you're looking at this, is his fight against Belal Muhammad. And I know Bilal's a champ. I get it. I know people are going to hate on that, but I get it. He is the champion. But the fact that you were outboxed by Belal Muhammad, to me, is just really mind-blowing, because he doesn't outbox anyone. He outboxes nobody. Really, his game plan is play and pray. Keep you down, keep you there, hold you there, positionally win, bank rounds, nothing, he's not that dangerous. I know as terrible as that sounds, he's not that dangerous, and he just doesn't have weapons. Again, he's relentless. He's got great cardio. He will push forward. He will level change and smother you. But besides for that, he's not doing much. And you look what he did against Sean Brady, where he just boxed him up. Brady doesn't have a plan B. And that, to me, is a big problem for a guy, a prospect that's really rising up. He does not have a plan B. He has to go in there, has to get the takedowns. If he does not get them, he's going to have problems. You saw that. And really, he just almost was melting. You should see him taking shot after shot, winging shots up against the fence. Belal just teeing off on him. And that is a massive concern when you look at Belal Muhammad throughout the UFC career. 19 fights in the UFC. He's 15-3-1, which is definitely impressive. But he's got 14 fights that went to the judges. And for me, again, it's telling you he does not put people away. And for me, that's a big problem when he goes out there and he's able to put a rising prospect in Sean Brady away via strikes. I think that's a big issue here. But the other side of it is just not the fact that that was an issue. The fact that, now he's facing a guy in Gilbert Burns who does have wrestling as well. And that is an issue where you're seeing that may be really where this wall kind of goes up against Brady in this particular matchup, where you look at somebody like Burns, who is a guy that doesn't get taken down. He's the guy that absolutely does not get taken down. You look at out of his last 15 UFC fights, he's only been taken down 4 times. And out of the 4 times, it was twice against Chimaev back in 2022, and then twice against Damian Maia back in 2020. Now, that's a wide gap of fights where he's just not being taken down. He's got good defensive wrestling, and also the fact that not only the fact that he has good defensive wrestling and he is an absolute dog out there. I mean, he just will fight tooth and nail and claw and keep going until you either put him away or you just literally, you beat him on the scorecards. But this guy is a tough guy overall. And, it's not just the fact that he can't beat or he's hard to take down, but the fact that a lot of people don't want to go down to the ground with this guy. I mean, he is high-level BJJ. He's got, he's definitely with those credentials on the ground. He is lethal when it comes to that. And you do see people, even Chimaev in the fight. Chimaev took him down and, got up. Although he was starting to get up and then he kind of got, kicked back. But you even see him, he didn't even want to deal with it, I felt like. Even Chimaev at that level almost didn't want to deal with it and would rather stand and strike. And even there, Burns was finding some success. So I do think you look at somebody like Brady, I don't like his striking at all. I think that the wrestling is a little suspect, and I think that's going to cause a lot of problems. And you also look at it, if this plays out on the feet, I do like what Burns does. I think he's got the better striking. I think that he's got more power in his hands. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded, where I just think you're going to see Brady shooting. And if he does not get it, this number is going to seem very, very wide. And you also got to add in the fact that, Brady also, the cardio is going to be a concern. The fact that he was absolutely exhausted against Bilal Muhammad in the second round, and he was just desperately shooting for takedowns and didn't have it, to me is a cardio concern. And now you're about to fight 5 rounds against Gilbert Burns, who has fought 5 rounds, who's a UFC veteran, who never really shows any cardio issues, and he can keep going forward. I think that really could hurt Brady, where first round or 2 could be, competitive, but longer this fight goes, I do think Burns is going to find a lot of success there. I really do think he's going to. So at this price tag here, I do like Gilbert Burns. I think that the price is good. I think this is too wide. Big step up in competition also for Brady as well too. He has not really fought the highest level guys besides Bilal, guys that he's beaten, not the highest level guys. And you also, real quickly, you look at the fact that even who Burns has lost to has been competitive. We were just talking about Chimaev. That was a fight where a lot of people thought Burns won the fight. And then even in that fight, Burns outlanded Chimaev 119-108. And you also add in that, yes, Chimaev got 2 takedowns. That did help him there, but he outstruck Chimaev over 3 rounds. That's impressive. And then also the Jack Della Maddalena fight, which was a fight where Jack was a client play. And I actually thought, listen, hey, Jack's down 2 rounds. What are we going to do here? And then he ends up knocking out Burns in that 3rd round. But besides for that, he was beating Jack Della Maddalena, who is highly touted, really, kind of this rising prospect, rising star in the division. And he was on the verge of losing and finds a way to win. And again, it just speaks to how good Burns really is. I think this line is too wide. So I'm going to be going Gilbert Burns plus 165 as my free play. Now, the next one here we're going to be talking about is going to be Ryan Spann versus Ovince St. Preux. You got Ryan Spann here in the year of our Lord 2024. He is minus 350 against Ovince St. Preux plus 275. Now, this is kind of crazy. It's crazy to me. I understand both these guys, untrustworthy as it may get. Like, both of these guys are just very untrustworthy. But one of them is minus 350. And that's going to tell you a lot. But when you look at this fight here, you got 2 guys who are big light heavyweights who are finishers and are untrustworthy. And that mix already puts this fight at a position where, the variance, the volatility is going to be extremely high. Is just going to be high. The way these guys sling it, the way these guys make mistakes, that's going to be an issue here. And you even look at it, OSP 27 victories and 20 by finish. You also have Spann 21 victories, 18 by finish. So these are guys, again, finishers, guys who are going to really go for it, guys who are really going to, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, they are willing to exchange. They're willing to go. Now, style-wise, Spann, when things are going well for Spann, he moves forward, he's comfortable, he's throwing some big shots, he's, landing big shots, cage pushing you, looking for the takedowns, has a submission game, he's a big, strong guy. And when things are going well, he looks great. But when things aren't going well, he looks absolutely atrocious. He just really makes mistakes. He starts to collapse. It looks like he's almost unmotivated once he really starts getting hit. It almost seems like he's just unmotivated. That, to me, is a problem. That's a massive problem here. And he's a great hammer, a terrible nail, and that's going to be an issue here. And even when he's getting hurt, it almost exposes his really poor fight IQ. It almost exposes it. You saw it in the Johnny Walker fight where he's got him up against the fence just taking elbows where, where's your head at? There's certain things that he just is doing wrong. And again, we're looking at a minus 350 line here. And also the fact that you've got to look at Spann is a guy that is a massive, massive front runner, a massive front runner. This is just how he fights. It's kill or be killed kind of mentality here. And you've got 14 UFC fights, 9 of which ended in the first round, and he's 5-4 over that span. So he is just not a guy that's like, oh, he's running through guys in the first round. I mean, it's either he's running through the guy or he's getting ran through. And that's a terrible sign. Also, you've got to add in the fact that right now, he's on an 0-3 run and was finished twice. That is not good news again for Ryan Spann, who I feel like is just on the downturn, is completely on the downturn. And also, or was he ever really on the upturn? But also you look at that OSP is coming off arguably the best, or I wouldn't even say arguably, it was the best performance of his career. Now he's 41 years old. I do get that. He's definitely aging and all those things are starting to happen here. But the fact that the guy was able to throw 100 or land 143 significant strikes on Kenny Nzechukwu is mind-boggling. He hasn't even eclipsed 100 in one fight, and he was able to go out there in a fight where we're saying, hey, this guy's done, he's washed, maybe it's over for this guy, and he goes out there as a big dog and looked, turned back the clock 7 years or so. I mean, the pace was there, the energy was there. I mean, that's a big issue for him. He's always looked kind of, lackadaisical and just, even if he gets hit, he kind of just, turns his back, all these things. He was able to go out there and look really good. And, I don't know if he's sipping on some secret juice or not, but it was just his best performance that we've seen. And that's going to be an issue here for Ryan Spann. But you also look at the fact that OSP, I think, has better striking. I think that he's got more power. I think he can definitely, have the quicker developing combinations on top of that as well. And the power dynamic, I think, is a little overstated for Ryan Spann, where you've got Ryan Spann, who's got 21 victories, but 6 are only by knockout. So he's got a lot more submissions, but 6 are by knockout. So it's not like this guy's out there sparking guys. It's just really, he's been able to. But I think it's a little bit overstated. And I think OSP is going to have a lot of power. And again, if he lands something big, I do see Ryan Spann all of a sudden starting to have issues with that. And I think that this is a spot where the line's too wide for me. Both of these guys are untrustworthy. And like I said, one of them is minus 350, which is crazy to me. I think OSP is a spot here. I think it's worth it. I think the plus money is worth it. This line is too wide. I think, Spann should be a favorite. In the minus 140 range, I would probably put it. But this line is just crazy enough where I do believe there is a ton of value here on OSP coming off of his best performance. So I'm taking Ovince Preux plus 275. Now, the next one here we are going to be talking about is going to be Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ashmouz. And we've got Peek around the minus 125 mark, and you got Yanal around the plus 100. Money has started to come in on Yanal. Now, when you get a Trevor Peek fight, you know what you're getting. this guy's just going to come forward. He's going to be as wild as he can, swinging, not caring, and just crashing the pocket and throwing these big hooks, crashing the pocket, trying to just really outwork you. I think, it's entertaining. It definitely is entertaining. The guy's a wild man, but really looking at it, he lacks a lot of things. He really lacks a lot of weapons. And just for opponents, that aren't as the higher caliber, obviously he's not going to be facing anyone of this elite caliber yet, but, or if he even ever has a chance to, but, he doesn't have any technical striking and he has none of that. He's sloppy in the pocket. He's wild everywhere. His weapon really is just massive pressure, moving forward, throwing, pushing up against the fence, and almost, just nullifying whatever you can do offensively because he's in your face. It's almost like you're defending more than you're able to throw any offense. And that's really where Peak tries to find his most success is just, it's not pretty the way he throws punches, but he just keeps going. It keeps going. It's going. And really over that time is looking to break his opponent, and again, that's just what he does, where it's nothing that spectacular, but it's just a barroom brawl is what he really wants to push forward. And to me, I think that Yanal is going to be better technically. I think he's going to have the better striking. I think he's going to have the better wrestling. I think he's going to be the stronger guy. I mean, Yanal looks like a monster. And I just think physicality-wise, he's really going to be able to bully around Peak instead of it being Peak being the one that's bullying him around. Now, cardio, who knows, could be a concern with Yanal. That's maybe a little bit of an issue. We're not sure about that. But you also got to look at it that if this is going to be one of those car crash kind of fights, I would rather have, the more technical guy, and I think the pressure that's going to be coming from Peak, I do think, can look for takedowns, can bully him down, can look to do those things where a lot of his other opponents were unable to do. I do think he's going to have the crisper combinations, the strength, the physicality. That's a lot of things against a guy like Peak who, really doesn't really bring too much to the table besides just forward pressure and aggressiveness. But also, I think that this line definitely is lined a lot closer than it should be due to the fact that of Yanal's last fight. He fought Chris Duncan in his last fight and he lost. Now, it's an overreaction to me in this spot because Yanal broke his wrist in the first round, still, fought 3 rounds somehow, but literally fought 1 arm. And to me, it shows he's got a dog in him as well, too. But he lost that fight. If he had 2 hands, I think he beats Chris Duncan, to be honest with you. I think that if he does beat Duncan, this line, all of a sudden you've got easily, you've got Yanal as a favorite, out the box, when this line opens. And now money is starting to come in on him. But still, I think that this was, people are kind of looking, oh, he lost against Chris Duncan. But you look at it more, he broke his wrist. It's definitely an overreaction. And I do like this plus money here on him. And I just think that Peak's not going to have enough to really, weaponize compared to what Yanal can do. So for me here, I do like Yanal to get the job done here. It's now at plus 100. I think he gets the job done. And the last play we are going to be talking about here is going to be Natalia Silva minus 300 against Jessica Andrade plus 235. Now, absolutely no doubt that Natalia Silva is a rising prospect. I mean, she definitely has ability overall. She's well-rounded, technical striker. I think her best asset is really her footwork. She's really is able to work her angles, work her combinations. She doesn't have a lot of power, but she's really able to kind of just work shots. And over time, she's really been able to do some great things. And I think that really is her angle of just staying at range, working at range, and really, the fast combinations that she does have. And that's, again, that's really working out very well for her. Now, you look at Andrade, you would think Andrade is like 45 years old, where she's only 32. And as crazy as that is, that she has accomplished so much over her time, and she has been in the UFC forever. After winning the title, and then there was this big downturn that she had. She had a rough patch. She looked terrible. And the big issue for me there was that, maybe some of those losses were a little overstated just because, some of these are short notice, quick turnarounds. I mean, she almost didn't give a shit what was going on. If UFC turned to her and said, "Hey, you want to fight this person?" She's like, "I am in. I'll take it." And I think that just really caught up with her, and just it almost looked like, even you could tell in the cage, she almost didn't seem like she gave a shit either. And now coming back where she fought, I'm sorry, well, I should first say the people that she lost to. I mean, the people she lost to Erin Blanchfield. She's no slouch. Yanal Shonan, good fighter. And then Tatiana Suarez, who is an absolute killer. I mean, she's not losing to these bottom feeders. She is fighting, some of the really strong females in the division. But you look at some of the, her last two fights. Now, she fought Mackenzie Dern at MSG, and I was actually there last November, and we bet Jessica Andrade in that spot, a nice plus money, and it almost was a great stylistic matchup for her because the physicality, it's just going to be impossible for Dern to take her down. Dern has terrible takedown ability. I think it's like, 10%. And you've got the strength advantage, the harder strikes coming. I mean, she went out there and just beat the living shit out of Mackenzie Dern, and that was a great performance. And then she goes out there and beats Marina Rodriguez, which is another strong performance. Close fight, tough fight, but she goes out there and she gets the job done. And I do feel like, she's kind of getting back to what she was doing. It's not that she's washed. It's not. I don't see that. I more see somebody that was just unmotivated or just taking fights for a paycheck and now kind of reassessing her career, her life. I know there were certain things going on in her personal life at that time where she's taking all these fights and just kind of winging it. I think she's getting back to, I need to win. I need to stay relevant. I need to not just take fights for paychecks. I need to win. And I think that's what she's going to be able to do and make this fight a lot more competitive than this line indicates. And also, you've got to look at, Natalia Silva's wins. I mean, let's be real about this here. You talk, anyone who's talking about Natalia Silva, how great she looks, and she does. Again, she has ability. She's a rising talent, and there are great things about her. But if you look at who she's beat, is almost, there's bottom of the barrel, and then there's like underneath the barrel. Like, that's who she was pretty much fighting. I mean, that was pretty much who she was fighting. Victoria Leonardo is on a 1-4 run in the UFC. Then she beat Andrea Lee. She's on an 0-5 run in the UFC. Then she beat Viviana Araujo, which is like, it's a nice win, but she's 2-4 out of her last 6. I mean, you put this together, what are they? They're like 3-13, her opponents. So the people she's beating, everyone else is beating. I mean, beating them too. I mean, it's not like she really picked apart, this other, tough fighter who's rising or who's in the hunt to move up the ranks. No, she's beating females that, are on the way downturn, that are done, that haven't been winning, that have not looked good. And it's a credit to her to go out there and get these wins. And of course, she's not going to step in and fight these high level fighters. I get that too, but it's easy to look good against these opponents when most people look good against these opponents. So for me, that's a problem here. And this is going to be a big step up for Natalia Silva. Absolutely a big step up for her. And that's also going to be a problem here that, she hasn't faced anyone like Andrade. She has not faced anyone that has the physicality, that has the ability, that has the experience like Andrade does. And again, only 32, years old in this particular spot. And, this is going to be in the Apex cage. And I do think this being in the Apex cage helps Andrade. Andrade likes to bulldoze forward. She wants to bulldoze forward, throw big shots, pin you up against the fence. That's really how she's found success. And, that may work in the Apex cage where I think Silva wants a little bit more range, wants something a little more prettier. She does not have power. I think that you're going to see Andrade really causing more of the damaging shots. Now, I was in between, to be honest with you. I was back and forth with this. And I was either leaning Natalia Silva via decision, which I think it could be very competitive and she could edge it out. But I think altogether here, again, this is another spot where the line is too wide. It's WMMA. And when you're looking at Jessica Andrade, former champion, still 32 years old at plus 235 against someone who has fought nobody, I think it's an easy sprinkle here in this spot. So for me here, I'm going to be going Jessica Andrade plus 235. Now, there you have it for UFC Vegas 97. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. Have plays up now, 4 plays up for this weekend, 3 plays already up for UFC, 306. And we're going to keep this rolling here. We are going to keep this rolling. Appreciate everybody who is liking and commenting. Also follow me on Twitter at KyleAnthonyUFC. And let's cash.